We've gotten quite a few good questions from our participants, so we're going to jump into those. I'm going to start with the first one over to Kenton. How would you convince welding teachers that virtual welding can work?
That's a good one. And like I said, starting off somebody that's never welded, because, I've been welding for 18 years. So when I first tried this thing, to me, it was harder than the real thing. So what I've noticed is, starting those kids off on something that's a little harder, it's just made it so much easier when they get out into the shop and get their hands on the actual real, things. So it definitely, I guess, starting sometimes things off harder makes it easier in the long run.
Okay. I'll pass this one over to Chris for you. How would you implement this into the classroom? Would this just be for introductory? Would you do it in conjunction with booths and class time? How would you recommend that they run a classroom?
So with just virtualization itself, it's great to have it as that starter piece for your new kids coming in, get those basics down and learn the basic terminology that comes with it. But along with that, using it as a tool to get that knowledge up and give them access to your shop at that point in time, you can carry on to teach so much more about the safety and what they're going to be doing out in your shop as you go through it. So I definitely think it's a good starting piece. I think with that, you can move into traditional instruction with welding and get them out on the machine there. But a lot of it is just taking away that fear and reservation that the students have and show them that this is something really fun to do.
Jamie, answer this one. Are there published studies to help administrators and teachers considering implementing VR into their curriculum?
Yeah, that's a great question, because it kind of goes along with what Chris was just saying is, how do you actually implement it? And there are studies out there, and the way that the studies have done it is kind of what we call that traditional welding, where it's you start in the classroom and then you go right out into the shop and you start your welding. And what they've done with the studies is they call it virtual reality integration, where you do the classroom kind of bookwork type stuff, then you go on to virtual reality, and then you go out into the shop. And so kind of like what Chris was saying, you get that knowledge, and then you still need that real live welding that will always be there. But when they've done that, and there's a great study. It's an Iowa State study. I think Realworks, we have it on our website. We can share that study with the participants too. But it's a great study showing that when they did have different test groups, some with the traditional training and some with virtual reality integration, that they actually found that those who had the virtual reality integration, they scored higher and were more of the testers were able to do qualified welds, and they were able to get to that qualified weld in less time. So they're actually getting to that place where we want to see those welders in less time, and more participants will be able to get there then versus the traditional. So we really are seeing some studies that have come out showing that not only for the cognitive ability and learning ability, but also of just the quality of the welder can be better and quicker in that sense.
All right, a question for Kenton. The participant said that they would think that younger students would be stronger in participation, especially on the virtual side. What have you seen your enrollment like in your classes?
The enrollment in our district, we actually have taken on a Tools for Schools program where we actually do a lot of recruiting, where we have actually picked some of our top kids and we have made them what we call CT ambassadors. And we have set up with our other schools in the districts, events where we actually go out and set up a table and a booth and, really advertise what we do, get the knowledge out there as well. Like just for today, we had 400 elementary kids walking through and touring our program. And our CT ambassadors actually, run those. And we have used the virtual welders. at our displays, and allows, so because we do have, cutting stations and welding stations that, kids or even adults can try, and, where some of the kids are maybe timid on trying the new, the actual live stuff, then they can go over to the virtual welders and at least get a taste of it and, see and actually try it out without doing the live thing. So definitely, with our recruitment, it has definitely helped as a tool to use for our recruitment. So we haven't really had any, issues with recruitment, sorry. And every year we're, growing. So last year we had around 85 kids sign up for beginning welding. This year we have 98 kids that have signed up for beginning welding next year. And each, station we do use the virtual welders as a station.